Welcome to our Caribbean and African Targeted Health Improvement Program, CATHIP Health Hour. The Caribbean and African Health Network, CARN, along with its national partners, are incredibly pleased to continue to bring to you targeted health and well-being education delivered by Caribbean and African doctors. These health hours are all about empowering, educating, and giving space to Black people so our communities can look after themselves better. Every Saturday, our Black GPs or consultants present on those health and well-being topics that affect you, your family members, and friends. Some weeks will vary and will include other panel members such as pharmacists, specialist nurses, and faith leaders. Our health hours cover a range of topics and include mental health, heart health, women's health, reproductive and sexual health issues, men's health, respiratory problems, cancer, sickle cell, and many more. We have not forgotten to include within our health hours the many societal, cultural, religious and racial challenges that can go hand in hand with health problems and influence how we should respond to meet health and well-being needs. The sessions are designed for you, and we want you to use the time to listen, learn, share your experiences and ask questions to our Black doctors. During every session, we will gather your feedback so we can continue to respond to the needs of our Black community. To request any particular topic, please email health@carn.org.uk. We encourage you to invite others to our health hour sessions. Spread the word in our community.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. What a wonderful day. What a wonderful day. The sun's shining and it makes you feel better, or it should do, at least. So good morning, welcome. My name's June and I work for CARN as a house practitioner, and I have the honour of hosting this programme today. Before we start, or while we're just waiting for people to log in, we just put in the chat your name, your first name, and where you're logging in from today, so we can see where everybody's logging in from today. Because we've got a wonderful meeting ahead, so I'm just really looking forward to it. Thank you. So, like I said, my name's June, and I'm from Manchester, but I'm currently, hi Pauline from Manchester, and I'm currently working with CARN in Manchester, but I'm in London at the moment. So I came up yesterday, had a wonderful 2-3 hour train journey to get here, and it's been lovely. It's just been lovely. It's like being on holiday again, except working a little bit, but that's not too bad. Looking forward to tonight for the Black Health Awards, but it's been good. So who else is in the meeting? Do you want to say hi? Just put it in the chat. Natasha, yeah, Westminster, hi. Hi, Sam. Sheffield, oh, all right, hi. Iabo, hi, welcome. Good, Samuel's looking forward to this session, so am I. Yeah, Dr Folake, our guest speaker, she's in Leicester, calling from Leicester, so we've got quite a breadth of the country today. Just give it a few more minutes for people to catch up and join in.
Sometimes have people joining from abroad. I wonder if anybody is joining from abroad today. Actually, I'm actually keen to see if anybody from outside the UK.
Yes, that's really interesting. Okay. Okay, yeah. To link to the topic, what's one healthy home? What have you tried to make? Because today's topic is about creating a healthier home. And is there one thing that you've done to make your home a bit healthier? Can anybody just share that with us? Just say, what have you done? Because I think especially with COVID, it's made you think made me think I know a lot about. Oh, Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome, Ernest. Yeah, it's made me think a lot about your environment and what kind of things have you done to make it more healthy. Just one thing, more natural light. That's, yeah, well done, Tammy. I think for me, it's opening the windows and the doors more when you can, just to get air into the place. I don't think, sometimes I don't think about it, but I think it's important that we do, especially since that Eunice from Manchester High. Okay. What other kind of things? All right, we'll give it another minute and then we will introduce the topic today, like I said, is creating healthier homes. More plants, yes. Yeah, plants are brilliant. And I have the pleasure in introducing Dr. Folake, and she's one of the hats. The main hat is actually the GP based in and around Leicester. And she has a clinical interest in adult allergies. And the thing about the doctors that do our program, that contribute and talk to us, is they're all about improving our health literacy and empowering our community to look after ourselves better, as they said in the introduction. And it's so important that we do that, because I think sometimes we do put ourselves at the back of things. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to hand over to Dr. Folake. And if you've got any questions in between, you can put them in the chat box, and we will ask them at the end, because of the Q&A session. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Folake.
Thank you so much, June, and it's a pleasure to be here today. Yes, I'm becoming a veteran here now, which is great, and I do enjoy it. It's something I do enjoy doing, and all those topics that Sakina and the team throw at me, and like, oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. So I'm a GP, as June mentioned, and as you know, with GPs, our role, believe it or not, is to treat illnesses and promote health. Now, the promote health sometimes becomes very plastic because we don't have enough time to do it. And this kind of opportunities gives us that space to be able to promote health the way we would love to do it, and especially amongst our minority ethnic groups, which sometimes can be quite hard to reach. So I'm just going to share my slide because I suspect this topic is going to be very popular, and we've got obviously June with her wealth of experience as well in this field, and some other people on the chat, and I'm sure there's so much we want to share. So I'm going to do my presentation. There will be, you can put comments in the chat as we go, and your questions as well, start putting them in so that we can get in as quickly as possible. So I'm just going to share my slide with you, and then we can get started with the presentation itself. So the topic of today is creating healthier homes and how small changes can promote well-being. And what I aim to achieve from this presentation is, obviously, we'll do a brief presentation of what health and well-being is, but why the home matters and why we're focusing on the home. And just before we go, I just want you to write in the chat what you think makes a healthy home. So just have a moment to think about it. What, when you think of a healthy homes, what kind of things are you thinking about? I can't see the slide, so just feel free to keep going. We will talk about them once I finish sharing my slides. So this is a very wordy slide, but I think it's important for us to talk about what well-being is. So well-being is one of those fashion words that has come about probably around COVID, when we had the lockdown, people had a lot of mental health problems, and we kind of knew it was important for us to focus on our well-being. And it's something, you hear all sorts of different well-being coaches all over the place springing up. We have well-being initiatives here and there, and everybody kind of started feeling, oh, we do need to know about this well-being thing. It's not all woo-woo or up in the air, or it's actually important for us, because sometimes we don't know what we have until we actually lose it. So COVID came, we were all locked in the house, we were all isolated. I was like, actually, well-being is quite important, and it doesn't just happen naturally. We have to be intentional about it. Now, I put two definitions on here, but the one I love the most is the one at the bottom from the World Health Organization. And this is the one I'd always known from medical school. And it is, it's not just the absence of disease, as they say, it's a complete physical, and is a complete well-being. But then when you add the one on top, it's physical, mental, emotional, everything you can think about, every dimension you can think about. But I have highlighted the word, it should have come in as red, but somehow I've lost that. But it is a state. And I think that's what I like about these definitions. It is a state. So when you think about the word state, it's not something anybody can measure for you. It's a sense, it's a feeling. It's in your heart that I have this state. I feel overwhelmed. I feel stressed. I feel good. I feel, settled. I feel excited. Nobody can tell you how to feel. Nobody can measure how you feel. You're the one that feels it. So somebody can be homeless and have a state of well-being, and somebody can live in a mansion and not have a state of well-being. So, it's a state and it's how you feel about it. So it's a personal thing, and it is intentional as well. And we all decide what makes us achieve that state. Now we'll try and, go through things that I put a few things on the slide I think would help with everybody's state of well-being. And why our homes matter for us to achieve that state. Our home is where we live. That's where we exist. That's where, we start from, and that's where we build. Now, it's where we have that connection between our environment and our mental state. Now, if our homes are not sorted and our homes are not settled, it's not a place where we find love, peace, happiness. It's going to be difficult for us to find love, peace, happiness somewhere else. And this is why it's important. But also as a doctor, this is where a lot of chronic health problems start. There are lots of studies that have shown how, the home, stress, mental state affect these, a lot of the chronic illnesses that unfortunately are very common amongst the Black community. And, we all know about stroke, diabetes, hypertension. And one of the up and coming ones actually that should go on there is that dementia as well. Because again, this is becoming one of the big things that is affecting the Black community. And our homes, can either be our where we get our energy from, or where it drains our energy. And we can then, if it could go both ways, basically. And again, that's what makes homes quite important in this regard. Now, when we think of well-being, there are lots of things, as I said, online people look at and people talk about. And some of them are they cause more overwhelm and stress for people. I see patients that come in and they're like, oh, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Then they're thinking of all these massive things. And sometimes it's just the little things that we need, because don't forget, it is a state. What matters to me is what is important, not what somebody thinks is important for me. I don't have to go on a 7-day cruise to achieve a state of well-being. I can do little things at home that can give me that exact same feeling. And sometimes we go on this expensive, retreats or holidays, or buy these expensive things, and we still feel that emptiness inside, because guess what? The foundation of us is still not satisfied, is still looking for something. So what I aim to do is discuss, practical things that we can do. It doesn't cost money. It might cost a bit of time, but it doesn't cost money. But guess what? Our health is non-negotiable. If we don't have time to have good health, then we need to remember that we're asking for diseases and illness in the later life. So that time has to be spent. It is non-negotiable to spend time on our health, unfortunately. And we're not going to be young forever. As we go older, new things are going to creep in. So it all just, it has to be a way of life, and it's never too late to start as well. I don't want somebody here sitting here in the 40s, 50s, 60s and think, oh, well, the boat has, the ship has sailed, that's me done now. No, there are things that we can start to do today that will stop that progression from happening. So we're looking at low cost, things that we can do very easily, they're sustainable, and they're practical as well. So I've just put this here just to get us thinking. Because I'm not a guru, and we all, we all do things that work. So I want to know, start thinking of things that you do that work for you. And I'm hoping at the end of this, we can maybe have a checklist or master list of things that people can try. And, maybe the can team can probably circulate it amongst people. That would be great, because that has come from us. And that I think those are things that are working for us. And other people can then learn from that and use that. But I don't want you to think that, oh, you've said, all these things. Oh God, where am I going to start from? Again, just pick one thing. And even just from me making this slide, I've actually made me think about things that I do. And I've said, oh, I probably need to do more of that, because I haven't done that in a while. I was doing the presentation yesterday, and I just told my husband, I just want to go for a walk outside, because I thought, actually, I've not actually done a walk before, because by the time I come from home, so the kids out, it's getting late. I said, well, it's still daylight at 9:30, and I did my evening prayers, and I just went for a walk. So those are things that we can do. So let's get started. I think somebody has spied on my slide who said about air and ventilation. I saw that, but yes, air and ventilation is absolute number one for me. And from a disease perspective, where we don't have good ventilation, the air is still, you have things like mold creeping in, and then it's the start of airway diseases. Also, obviously, I'm an allergy person, so I'm thinking about things like, dust and dust allergies, people sneezing, coughing, having all these coughs that stay forever and never go away. And they're like, oh, what do you do? And they've had all the medicines and investigations under the sun. Meanwhile, the problem is probably just from their home. It's not well ventilated. And that's why they're having some of these airway issues. Some people smoke as well, and then that smoke circulates inside the house, and other people are then inhaling it and then having airway problems. But not only that, as June said when we started, look at the weather, look at the glorious weather. Just open the window, and I open the window, and there's just this, fresh air coming, it's sunny outside. It looks like a picture. I grew up in Nigeria, but it looks like those pictures they used to show us of England when I was in Nigeria. It makes it look so beautiful, like, oh, I can't wait to go to this country. And that's what you want, and that boosts your endorphins, that boosts your brain, your positivity. You have this feeling of, I can do anything because the weather is good, it feels good. Yeah, we have to find something else in the winter to stimulate us. But for today, let's just focus on this one. And simple intervention, just open the window. Even in the winter, we need to open our windows, unfortunately. We need that fresh air. We don't need to, open it wide, but the windows nowadays, they have this vent at the top where you can just open, or just slit it open for a little bit. Or when you finish in a room, open the window, close the door because of the cold air, go and do something somewhere else, come back later and close it, just to allow the air to circulate. Just, you don't want still air, you want fresh air. And there's a reason why it's called fresh air. It's so basic, you need that fresh air. Incense and air fresheners. Now, the two takes on this one. I'm an air freshener person. I love air fresheners. My mom cannot stand air fresheners. But it's one of those things. Depends on what you like. As I said, it's you. It's what works for you. As long as you're still ventilating that room, it's good. But nowadays we have this new build homes where there's no windows. So you'll have a room, but there's no windows. You have to get fresh air in somehow. You can't get cross ventilation. For me, this is where I find air fresheners helpful, especially in toilets and bathrooms, because otherwise it's just still and it's just there, even with the best intention of the world, leaving the door open, sometimes it still happens that way. And somebody else mentioned plants. Absolutely, plants just it just lightens the room, especially in the winter when we can't open the doors as much as the windows as much as we want to. That this is where house plants become very helpful, because you have this on your windowsill, and it just lightens the room. Now, I must confess I don't have house plants in my house, but I just open the windows and I just allow the fresh air to come. Maybe that's something that I can look at in the future. Clutter. This is well, I'm Nigerian, and I've been to a few grandma's houses, and this is number one. I don't know if it happens. I'm not saying it happens in other African or Caribbean homes, but I'm guessing it does. Clutter is a big deal. And I was talking to somebody, where did we start from this clutter business? And I think it's that sense of, there are a few things I think. One, there was that poverty mindset, like, oh, I just need to gather everything because I don't know when I'm not going to, I'm going to need it. I just keep piling it up, piling it up, piling it up in the house. There's a second mentality of we're going home. Like my grandmother used to say, oh, when I go home, and she loaded her house with so many things that you couldn't even walk in the house. And it's not just her. I've been to a lot of grandma's houses, and that's the same theme. They're keeping this for this person, they're keeping that for that person. It's like, Grandma, we don't really need this anymore. Your grandson, well, they don't quite need it. Time has moved on and kids have moved on, and the things that make them happy are different. They want to spend time with us now. They don't really need us buying them new shirts and new trousers and new toys. They don't mind it, but the time is more important, the time we spend together. Clutter is a big deal, and it is actually sometimes, not always, obviously, don't go about diagnosing all your grandparents, but sometimes can be a sign of underlying mental health problems. So people who hoard, which is the extreme of it, there's that, anxiety and mental health element there. So that's the extreme. But some people just enjoy buying things and just load the house up. But what then happens? The house is full. Don't forget the ventilation. We don't get the ventilation. There's insects, rodents, and everything all hiding around the house where nobody knows. You can't reach areas to clean them properly, obviously, because there's too much load in there. But it also causes them stress because they can't. There's this load, and you just feel claustrophobic. You feel trapped in that space. But there's also the risk of the hazards of falls. So it's quite dangerous and accidents happening. So the mental health is a big one anyway for clutter. But the one I don't like about it is the relationship strains. You feel, oh, I don't want to bring my friends home because this is how the house looks. It affects your self-esteem. And sometimes even other people that live in the house don't like it, but they don't know how to reach the person. So it's something that we need to be mindful about in terms of, if we want to buy things, yes, I know we need to save, we need to store things ready for the days we need them, but there has to be a balance as well. One thing I try, sometimes I'm not successful with, is the one in, one out. So if I'm buying something and I have something similar at home, then that one goes out. If I'm not ready to give it up, then I don't buy a new one. And I try as much as I can, to adopt that. Obviously, sometimes I will fail with that. But also, we can go and sell things at, there's Vinted app now, where you can sell, what they call them, upcycling, they call them now. They have fancy names for them, upcycling. Or we can do carpet sales if we just want to fancy a day out in the community, and you don't make a lot of money, but it helps you to sell things to other people who need it. Or give things away to charity. When my kids, when I tidy up, and I just have this, okay, I'm tidying up your toys and I'm giving the ones that you don't use away. I have to be careful to hide them somewhere because it's like, oh, you're giving that to charity as well, but I like that one. So, there's a mindset that comes with it that, I don't need everything and somebody else needs it more than I do. And I've got enough already. Why do I need that one? And we have to keep reminding ourselves about that. There are, believe it or not, professional declutterers. I don't know if that's even a word, but that's the way I could make it work. But they declutter specialists basically, and there are actually TV shows about this. People, Stacey Dooley, and there's another lady who did a TV show about helping people declutter and getting rid of things that they don't need anymore. Do you know why I've put cleaners in red? I think some of us are really bad at letting go of letting somebody else do the work for us. So we're busy, we're parents, we're working, we've got kids, we want to make the kids happy, we want to go out on the weekend, but we want to be the cleaner of the house as well. And sometimes when we clean, so say I've cleaned this room because I've spent so much time, I've had to dedicate this time to do it. The kids go there and I just start shouting, no, because I've emotionally invested in that area that I've cleaned. But if we get a cleaner, and I got a cleaner, I used to get them intermittently. I don't have the regular ones because they can be quite expensive. And I just sit down and she cleans the whole house in a few hours. And I'm like, this will take me a whole day to do. Plus, I'm exhausted, I'm upset. For the week, anybody that drops as little as a crumb, I am on their backs, and it just causes more stress for us. And I think sometimes we can be bad at valuing our time and knowing what we're good at. I'm sure some people are good at cleaning, that's fine. But if you're not good at it, that's something you probably want to consider doing. Nutrition, we can be here the whole day talking about nutrition. But I'm just going to be very quick about this one. Bad nutrition, again, chronic health problems, cardiac problems, obesity, which is becoming a big thing for us now, diabetes, big one, for Black community. Sexual health is one of those things that people don't talk about much because it's supposed to be private. I know Khan has done one on sexual health or sexuality before, so that's something that probably people should look at and people should listen to. I used to do some, as a GP, you kind of do a lot of things, isn't it? We need to know about loads of things. And I used to do some training on psychosexual medicine, it's called, but it's kind of just sexual health and the kind of things people come in with, things that affects their sexual health and why they can't get close to their partners and things that get in the way. And there's so basic things. And sometimes it's just, it could just be as little as what you're eating, because what you're eating gives you energy. If you don't have the right energy, you don't have the right outlook to life, and that then affects your relationships. And I decided I was quite purposeful of putting sexual health here because I know it's something that even when you look at the definitions of well-being and everything, it's all about how I feel and all that. But sexual health is quite important to us, and people who have poor sexual health, trust me, they are struggling, and it really affects them mentally. Memory loss and dementia, again, what we eat, affects our memory and, can actually lead to blockage in the blood vessels, again, cardiovascular problems, and that can lead to things like Alzheimer's in the future. Bone health, very important. And I've put there intervention vitamin D. Now, I'm not big on supplements and as, extra supplement, but vitamin D, gosh almighty, I think in COVID was when I started looking into vitamin D. Vitamin D is an unsung hero, basically, in terms of health. But added to that, there was a study that showed that, almost everybody in this environment in the UK has some level of, we don't have enough exposure to vitamin D because obviously we don't have the sunlight that we need. But even when we have it, the sunlight is not the right wavelength, so people don't stay out as much as they should, or and things like that. But also when we work long hours, by the time in the cold weather, by the time we go home, it's dark. So you'd get home to work dark, you're going home when it's dark. Added to the fact that we've got dark skin, so we've got darker skinned, and then obviously for people, Muslims as well, who kind of do the religious dressing like myself, you have less surface area of, where you can absorb the sunlight. So vitamin D actually should be something that we should all do, basically. And people have come in with things, and I've known somebody who was unwell for a long time. They've done all these investigations, and and they couldn't find out what it was, and they just changed it. I think they moved jobs and they just changed GPs, and then they saw this. She was an Indian lady and said, "Oh, you've had this. Has anybody done your vitamin D?" And then he was like, "Seriously, vitamin D with everything we're talking about?" And his vitamin D was like was so low that it was below. It was undetectable, basically. And all they had to do was have the vitamin D loading, and a lot of the symptoms that we're having went away. So vitamin D is a big one. If you ever had low vitamin D, I just tell my patients, just use it for as long as you can remember to use it, because whatever made you have low vitamin D in the first instance is going to make you have low vitamin D again in the future. So some areas will not even check vitamin D. They won't do it in the lab. They just say, well, if you suspect it, just tell them to go and buy the supplements. There's no point in us testing it. But apart from that, we all know the other things that we should do, eat the right things. I put display fruits and healthy snacks because, again, when you see all these lovely pictures of kitchens, you've got, they have a basket of fruits, but you got like a lovely cake in the middle, and all these lovely desserts, pastries and everything. And guess what? Whatever we see, whatever is easy for us to reach is what we're going to do. So if we have more healthier things on display, well, we might not nibble, which is good because we don't have to nibble, but if we nibble, we're more likely to nibble the right things. And I put, the last one, healthy alternative to our Afro-Caribbean meals. Yes, because our meals can sometimes be quite heavy with fat and unhealthy, ways of preparing them. And it comes with a taste, and I totally agree that it's difficult to not to eat those things and and not to eat those things, because obviously that's our palate and that's what we enjoy. But once in a while, having a healthy alternative. So one of the things I do now is do things like bulgur wheat or couscous instead of rice, so that we'll still eat the rice, but at least sometimes we'll have something different, so that we still have our food, but we're not always having the things that are unhealthy. And for anybody that knows, Nigerian foods, they can be very, very unhealthy. Sleep. Another big one that people come with. Again, these are kind of things that you go to your GP with and they don't have answers for you. And then you get upset with your GP. Oh, they didn't even help me. I went to them, it didn't help me. But guess what? They can't help you because they're not in your house and they're not living your life. And you are the one that has to make some of these changes. Medicines cannot change everything for you. Some things we need to take ownership of, and we need to learn that this is my life and I'm responsible for my life. So things like sleep, for example, lots of people say, oh, I can't sleep, they just want medications. And I say, look, medications would help you sleep, but you've not sorted out the problem of the sleep. So what then happens is you're sleeping, but you're not satisfied. You're not having a refreshing sleep. Again, issues with sleep, as we can imagine, when you're not sleeping enough, or you're not having good quality sleep, you've got poor memory, you can't concentrate, it has a knock-on effect on everything else in life. You're irritable, people around you you're not pleasant, people around you get mood swings. Obesity is actually one of the causes of insomnia, actually causes of obesity, believe it or not. One of the ways is probably if you remember when you've been last sleep deprived, what do? You go for junk food. Because it's like comfort food. You just want to eat something because your brain kind of just doesn't get itself, basically. And obviously loss of income is a big thing because you can't concentrate at work. You can't do some jobs like things that involve driving or operating heavy machinery. That's loss of income. Obviously, if we don't have money, we're not happy, we can't do the things we want. Lots of things about sleep hygiene online. But again, simple things that we can do, simple things, screen time. Obviously, we're all on social media. We're not going to lie about it. Everybody's there scrolling from one reel to the other, and then you look at the time. Oops, it's 10 o'clock. Oh, I need to go to sleep. Or even fall asleep while looking at the reels. So we need to be intentional about, okay, fine, this is creeping into my life too much. Let's reduce the screen time. Dark and quiet room. Again, you need quiet. The other thing about sleep is, which is not on here, is the temperature. So people are more likely to have better sleep in a cooler room than in a hotter room, which is not helping this kind of weather. What I do is I leave the windows open. I mean, I live in Leicester, and I've lived in Manchester before, and there's some places in Manchester you don't want to leave the windows open. In fact, I used to live in Manchester before, and I got robbed overnight because I left the window open, and I woke up the next one. I'm like, what? My sitting room was empty, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah, because I went for an interview. I came back late, and I was pregnant. I was just tired. My husband went, and he came back from a night shift. We just tired. We just slept off, and yeah, it was a flat. It was a downstairs flat. We woke up the next morning, absolutely nothing left in the sitting room. So yeah, so I say that with caution. Leave the windows open, or but then you have to do it with caution as well, and know the area you live and what serves you. Common sense, lavender. Lavender is one of the things they say. Again, I've not tried it, but some people swear by it. White noise as well online, or for people that are religious, just put on something religious to listen to. That's what I find helps. Have a routine, because the body works with routine as much as we can. Hard for people that have shift jobs, which is why you have insomnia is quite prevalent in people who work shift patterns, night shifts, and varied shifts and stuff like that. But as much as you can, if you have a night routine, just like we do for our babies. I mean, we do that for our babies when we have babies, isn't it? When we want them to have a routine, we want them to have a bath, and then we stow them down and sleep. Guess what? Our brains are still that baby brain. Our brain feeds on that a lot. So if you have a routine, our brain knows, oh, this is the time we sleep, and then I'll start to wind down towards that. Now, I've put medications on there at the bottom. Now, there are medical reasons why you would need medications for sleep, but it's not something I would advocate for people long term. Now, some people need just a bit of jump start, I call it, just to, when they've had this pattern, maybe they've had something really stressful happening, bereavement, loss of job, those kind of things that cause real stress on the mind, and they just cannot get back to sleep. And sometimes I would just give somebody something just to jump start their sleep. And I tell them, this is just to get you into the pattern, but you need to retrain your brain to sleep by itself. And don't use it every night, use it once in a while and all that. Melatonin is one of the ones that apparently is quite safe, but to get it in the UK, you have to like go through so many hoops. And I don't know why, because people can get them online. And when you go to places like America, you can just get it over the shelf. Like, you go to Boots and get paracetamol. Apparently, you can just get melatonin from there because it's one of those that mimics the process in the brain, the chemical in the brain that controls our sleep wake cycle. But I'm not big on medication for sleep, but I do appreciate that some people are going to need medication. So it's not a blanket rule. And please, when you go and speak to your doctors or nurse practitioners or any healthcare professional you're speaking to, work with them. They're not just saying no because they want to be mean to you or because they want to deny you stuff. It's because of it's better for you in the long run not to have the medications than if you did have them. And then the other one I put here, which is one of the things that is quite relevant to us, is that cultural slant to well-being. Because our culture is where we come from. Our culture is what makes us. And your culture is whatever you identify as your culture. I mean, there's some people are X generation, British, and they don't have any culture apart from British, but they still have influence from wherever they've come, whether the parents or their grandparents or great grandparents came from. And your culture is what works for you. So, and I think it just gives you that grounding and self sense of belonging, whatever you truly identify with, not what you think you should identify with. Have things that remind you of whatever that culture is, whatever culture you want to adapt to yourself. So, display art, photos, just things around the house that you look at and you think, oh yeah, that's me and that's who I identify with. The other one is, have a special place in your house for quiet, for meditation or prayer, whatever you want to call it. It's just a nice thing to just go to that corner. And again, I'm not saying you have to have a 5-bed mansion to have that. Even in a 2-bedroom house, in your own bedroom, you can just have this, just a separate place that this is just me. This is, where I just have a bit of quiet, a bit of time to meditate, have my period of gratitude. Don't forget, I said the brain likes routine. And once you go into that position, the brain already knows what you want to do. But at the same time, we need to remember that we're in a multicultural society. So integrating with other cultures, learning about other people, knowing because we don't exist in isolation, we exist as a community. And whatever makes us become a community, stay as a community, would help with well-being and mental health. Obviously, I'm a Nigerian, we like parties and get-togethers, so those kind of things. If it's your thing, you don't have to go for it. If it stresses you out, but that, makes you happy, then don't do it. But if it's something that you enjoyed, Cannes is having, the event tonight, for example, the award event tonight. Those kind of things are places where you can meet people, you're like-minded, you can have a chat, you could just feel at home with them. So those kind of things as well, they're worth investing time for, because even introverts, I've met some people who are introverts. I'm like, oh, I don't like to go out. And somebody has made that effort to force them to actually go out. And I'm like, actually, that was quite nice. I quite enjoyed myself. So even as introverts, it's still quite important for us. And yeah, music, storytelling, just anything that makes you happy. Exercise, I'm not going to go too much on this one. We've had enough, from everybody talks about exercise. But the main thing I want to talk about with exercise is quick wins for exercise. You don't have to, join like a 50-pound a month gym before you're doing exercise. Simple things. Park run. Park run is a charity run event, happens in almost every park around the country. Well, not every park, but almost every city, around the country. Where you just register. You can't even go without registering, but if you register, you get a barcode, they can send you your performance. And you can run at any pace. Again, some people go there walking. Some people are, even people who use disabled facilities come. I've been there before. There was somebody who was blind and had his guide with him. So anybody and everybody, and they even have park run, junior park run as well for kids, and it's free. And it's on a Saturday morning. You do it, you come back. It's a 5K, but you don't have to finish it. Do whatever you can, whatever ability. And that was just a bit to make exercise available to all, and it's in the park, so we're outdoor, we're getting fresh air. It encompasses so many things. We're amongst other people, community. So there's so much about park run. And if park run is out of the reach for you because you've got other things to do on a Saturday morning, outdoor walk, just go for a walk outside, 5 minutes, whatever you can do. I love YouTube videos because YouTube videos, as long as I find somebody, if I find somebody that I like, it's cheap, well, it's free, it's accessible. I can do it anytime. I don't have to be in any specific place, and you can do it any time of the day. Let's not forget strengthening exercises. Again, bone health as we get older is important. So strengthening exercises, Pilates, or yoga, those kind of things. Because people always think, oh, I need to burn energy, I need to, I need to sweat, I need to, get my heart rate up. But strengthening exercises are just as important for us. And my last one, if it comes up, is supposed to come up. What am I supposed to do? Yes, self-care is my ultimate one. And I'm actually not happy because I only discovered this in my 30s, late 30s, about self-care. And before it was like, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that. But self-care actually, I know I put it as number 7, but it is number 1. You can't give from an empty cup, as everybody says. You need to have that level of well-being within yourself. You need to give yourself that time to recover, to rejuvenate, to reconnect before you can help other people around you. And it's not selfish. Self-care is not selfish, and I'm talking to us, the givers, the extroverts, the empaths. You need self-care. So if you don't have self-care, all the other things we've talked about is not going to be helpful for you. And just a few ways of, again, making this more of a community, because, we don't exist as an island, things that we can involve our elders and our families. So little wins, so things like park run, you can take your, other family members, different ability. It's going to be a day out, go on picnics together, family chats as well, in terms of promoting habits. We've got all those WhatsApp groups, rather than sending all those spammy videos that people are sending. We can send, oh, I've been on can today. These are some of the tips I learned. This is some things you can use. Make it a bit more positive and way of using social media. And obviously local support and resources as well. And I've mentioned quite a few, like Parkrun. Today's one of those as well. The can is always there providing all these things for us. So I've come back, and this is my last slide. I've come back to this question: what hacks work for you? And please share whatever you've worked, and anything you think I've said, and that doesn't work actually, but this is what works for me. Different things work for different people, and what will make me happy today is if we all have just one thing, either from what I've said or what somebody else has said, that we're going to take away and implement in our lives, that is going to be sustainable. We know we're going to be able to continue doing it for as long as we can. There we go. That's me. Thank you so much. And then we're over back to June. June, you're on mute.
Right, there you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I was so excited to get started again. Thank you so much. It was insightful, and it seemed a lot of the things you spoke about seemed like common sense, but it's something that we don't think about or don't do. And I was thinking before about today's topic and things like avoiding clutter, because I am a grandma, and yes, I have a lot of things. I have pictures from my children and ornaments they bought me. My children are now, the eldest ones are now in their 40s, but I can't get rid of them. So I know they're a dust trap, but it's just more work, and the different things that we need to do to keep ourselves well. And that self-love should be, like you said, the first thing, and it needs to thread through everything. And a lot of us are really bad at that, because sometimes we go out doing blood pressures and house screening in church, and the mums and the women who we need to talk to say, as soon as the service is finished, I've got to go home and cook. And I said, but if you don't keep yourself well, how can you look after everybody else? And it's just so important that we do that. And the exercise, like you said, it doesn't need to be a gym. You can walk, dance, whatever you need to do. But it's so important, especially as you get older, to keep your joints mobile and keep moving. Because I think a lot of people think when they retire that they can just sit down, but that's the worst thing you can do. Join groups, keep your body active, keep your mind active, puzzles, read things, feed your soul, nurture your soul, read your Bible, all those kind of things, or whatever like you said, whatever you believe in, just that really does help. And for me, it's about rejoicing and practice gratitude, because it's just a feeling of starting each day in the sunshine helps, feeling blessed, and so many things that we've got to be needs to be blessed about. And I think at your home, as you said, should be your safe haven. It should be when you get home, I'm home. So I'm just looking at the questions now. Plants as well. Unfortunately, my surname is Green, but I'm not green by nature. I'm really bad with plants. So I apologize.
I'm the same. I'm the same. I'm like, those poor plants, I don't want them dying in my house.
Apparently, healthy plants are a sign of healthy homes. So I just can't do it. I really try and then I just forget about them. So, and sleep. We talk about sleep, I talk about sleep, and people forget it. And like you said, we as a community are very, very hardworking, and we tend to put sleep low down on the list when it is so important that we just sleep. The amount of people that I've spoken to, I was in a meeting the other day and this lady was telling me that she just come off night shift, and she'd attended this meeting all day. So it's just important that we do make sure that we look after ourselves, and when we look after ourselves, we can look after others. Okay, I'm just going to try and get onto the questions now. So we've had quite a few questions as we're going along. Things like, does boiling lemons really clean the air? Because their grandmother swears by this. What do you think about that?
No, actually, to be honest, I mean, for me, whenever patients ask about these things, because obviously we're as medics, we know about a lot about diseases and some things about lifestyle, but some of this like hacks and everything. And what I tell people is, look, as long as it's not dangerous to you, right? So you're using fresh lemons, you're not, keeping still lemons, or still water around the house. I don't have any problem with it. Again, it's a state. If somebody believes that something helps, I can't convince them that it doesn't help. As long as it doesn't harm you, I don't have any problem. But, do I have any experience? Unfortunately, no, I don't have any experience with, boiling lemons and whether it helps or not. Maybe something to look into.
I mean, I've heard of health tips. I've heard of cleaning tips where people put lemons in ovens, and that vaporizes and helps clean lemons. So I think it's got some, but like you said, it just depends. It's got some different abilities. Another question: how often how often should we change our bed sheets for better health?
I've read somewhere that we need to change it every week, maximum every 2 weeks, and I totally agree with that. And I think the frequency depends on our habit. So are you somebody who has a shower every night? Because we change our clothes when we come in, but then the skin that has been around, and then we sleep in that skin and then wake up the next morning. So if you're a morning shower or a morning bather, then your bedsheet is going to get dirty more often than somebody who showers in the evening because they're going to bed in a clean skin. So I will probably say the maximum I will go is 2 weeks. Some people do it every week, some people do it twice a week. Again, there's no hard and fast rule about it. You see it's dirty and you've only just changed it yesterday, but it just needs changing again then because I'm not going to wait 2 weeks because it's not time to change it. And it's one of those things that we can actually forget about. It can just get, some people will be months and they're like, they've got the same bed sheets on there. Or when we've got kids, especially teenagers, we have to remember ours and we have to remember theirs as well. So I would say probably maximum I would go personally would be 2 weeks. And I think for some people that's even too much. Like, no, but we're all different as well.
I think in this weather as well, with people sweating at night, I think it's probably going to be a bit more regularly than that. But like you said, it's a personal thing. So, we do know we're adults, we can look at things like that. Next question. Can bad lighting really affect your mood?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll let you say, June. I'll let you say.
I sometimes, especially in the winter when it's dark, I sometimes suffer from that sad wet affectional I'm sad. There's no the opposite this morning. The sunshine, you wake up and you think, I'll get up and it's happy and you feel good. If it's the other way around, it's dark and you don't have enough sufficient lighting, and especially that when we have the long nights in the winter, the longer nights, it definitely does affect your mood, and therefore once your mood's affected, it affects you all. And I think for myself, I would say, yeah, bad lighting. And also when you talk about bad lighting, if you're talking about lighting, make sure you've got adequate lighting over stairs. I know when we were younger, my dad used to want to put the lower watt bulb in, and I'm like, you can't do that, Dad. We need to, when you're going downstairs, because we were talking about safety of your home as well, making sure you've got adequate lighting. And if you haven't put lamps If you need to, when you're working, if you're working from home, make sure you've got adequate lighting as well, because that will affect your health in many ways. So I think bad lighting, as they call it, it can affect your mood and therefore your health. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. Physical and mental health. And that's why, obviously, as June said, there is actually a mental health phenomenon called seasonal affective disorder, where because people can't cope with the low level of sunlight in the winter months, and they get depression in the winter months, and they're fine in the summer months. And then they have to buy this special lamp that they use to mimic that. Because we've got what we call the circadian rhythm in the body. So the body is programmed to be alert in certain times of the day, and then it kind of comes down at certain times of the day where the cortisol level goes down, and it's a down, your body's supposed to go down. So when your body's saying, well, I've already got 3 hours of being awake and alert, that doesn't make sense. And that causes confusion in the brain, and that can cause mental health problems and stress. So absolutely 100% sunlight or light generally has an effect. Sunlight is the best, but the second best would be to have proper, electric light.
Yeah. How do we tell friends to declutter? Some are afraid to let go of old things.
It is, honestly, is a very hard thing to do, because people who clutter have an emotional connection with their clutter. And a lot of times it has caused a breakdown of relationship. And I remember when my grandmother was having it, she used to hate when we used to come in and say, we're going to clean our house up and send things away. And she thought we were being wasteful. And, she bought these things, at such and such price, and we're just throwing it away and stuff like that. And I think that the other thing, the ways to do it, I think one of the ways is situational. So they would always misplace things and they can't find things, or sometimes they have rodent problems. Those are opportunities to open that discussion. Try not to be confrontational about it, or their physical health, something that there will be a leeway where you can actually start this conversation, and you have to do it gradually. The other thing you can do is put on those programs while they're there, So I didn't do this on purpose. This was just coincidental that my mom was sitting with me and they were doing one of these programs on TV. And, sometimes we don't see ourselves. We see, and sometimes other people act as a mirror for us. And she was looking, she's like, wow, no way. Da, da, da. And she saw the extreme of what clutter can do. And she was like, oh my, definitely we don't, this is something that we can be doing. So sometimes there's other ways that you can, oh, let's see what's going on TV tonight. That's what's going to go on TV, isn't it? And they see it. But having the ways of talking about it, but you can't go hard on them. It has to be gradual, or else you're going to have a breakdown of relationship.
Yeah, I'm not even going to start on that one. I am a grandma, that's what I'm saying. The last, I think the last one we've got time for, this one is really important. How can I learn to choose me first and I feel I'm too old to change?
Oh, that's a big one. Number one, we're not too old to change. That's something we tell ourselves. June, can you just say that again so I know where to pick this?
Choose me first and I feel I'm change.
So you just choose me first, basically. That's what it is. There's no great fancy way of saying it.
Well, I mean, I know one of the things I know about this as well, because when you spent your whole life being the caregiver, at some point there will be more space for you. So whether as myself, the children have left home, and you suddenly find that you do have time for you. So that's the time you choose you. It's very easy to fill it up with things, doing things for the grandchildren, doing this, doing that, doing this. But at some point, and as that, what you have to remember, and what I keep saying is, if you don't keep yourself well, how can you keep giving? So if you're the person that I want to keep giving, you have to make sure you're good first. You're good to go. You're well enough. You can get up and go. And that's so important that you do that. So choosing yourself first. And if people don't understand that, then they don't really care about you, because the people that care about you will make sure, are you okay? Are you eating enough? Have you slept enough? Have you got enough rest? Or like I have to tell my daughters, don't come before a certain time in the morning, because she forgets and calls me and is chatting away when I'm half asleep, and you need to sleep. So it's really important that, I mean, it's a caring thing, but also at some point you have to recognize my body's tired, or I need to eat, and go and spoil yourself. Have your bubble bath, have whatever you need. Just, it doesn't have to be anything expensive. Go out for a walk, go sit out in the sun instead of running around after everybody else. Give yourself that time. And it's so important. It's what I was talking before about, being grateful that that you are older, that you're here, because so many people don't get the opportunity, and allowing yourself to feel blessed about it. You look after yourself and you've got more chance to look after everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think June, you know what, I'm not going to take away from June because you're living that life. Anything I would say is going to be, anecdotal, but you are living that life. So you're the best person, and I'm not going to take that away from you. But yeah, for me as a mom with younger kids, I think for me, it's that choosing. And I remember when I said it's a state and it's a choice you have to make. It's an intentional move, so. And it all starts from this age when, we're always wanting to help people. And when people are used to you being the one doing things, it's going to be hard for you to come out and say, all of a sudden, it's just like, Grandma, what on earth is going on with you? Why are you changing? But just ways of breaking it to them, as June says, don't call me. And it's the way you say it to them as well. You know what? Try not to call me before this unless it's an emergency because I need to do X, Y, Z. Or oh, I really enjoyed going to this group today. There's always this age concern or all these kind of groups that, all in our community. And I really enjoyed it. I connected with people and made me happy. When you use those kind of words, people around you who love you will support you and they'll be happy for you as well that, oh, grandma is already or grandpa is already doing things that they really enjoy, and they see the new lease on life in you. So I think the first step is accepting in ourselves that it's okay to take time for me and I'm not being selfish and I'm not letting anybody down. Other people just have to work within what I can afford for them, and it will work, but I think first we have to be convinced about it. If you're not convinced, then it's not going to happen. And now I've kind of trained my kids when I'm somewhere lying down and my son will say, "Oh, mommy, you having a bit of peace and quiet?" Then I'll say, "Yes, I am having a bit of peace and quiet." And then he'll go and come and go and come. Sometimes he just lie down beside me and just knows he has to keep quiet. I just want quiet. Those kind of things, and you can use that for grandchildren as well. But absolutely, June, you're living that life, so first-hand experience.
It's an ongoing process that when you spent all your life giving it, so you really have to you have to be very strict sometimes and just say, no, I'm doing that. But sometimes they do it for you. They say, actually, Mum, you need to rest, or Grandma, you need to rest. And so if you don't recognize it, others around you that care will recognize it. Or the comments we keep getting, everybody's saying your talk has been insightful, and I second that and third that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Folake. I think it's just been wonderful, this interaction that we've had today, and your answer to the questions. And somebody's asked if it's possible to have the slides, and then they were told that you can find the full episode on YouTube so people can look back on this. So thank you once again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, June. Thank you. It's been lovely, being here as always. And for those who are in the awards tonight, have a lovely time and hopefully get to meet all of you at some point.
Thank you very much. It's over to our lovely colleague Natasha now, who's going to summarise and end the programme for us. Thank you very much.
Good morning, good morning. Isn't it lovely to just be talking about what is essentially prevention and the healthy medicines, things that to some extent in our control. We understand that everyone has different realities. I think that was discussed, but it's just great to speak about our home. We spend so much time at home these days that some people even work from home. Thank you, Dr. Folake, for your time. As you said, you've been an absolute health hour warrior and advocate this year, and we much appreciate your time with us, your dedication, and your just very empathetic and easy to relate to, and that's wonderful. And same with June, always very open, and just to remind us that healthcare professionals, as I always say, there are people just like us, and it's great when we can relate to them and just have them in a space where you can speak with us for a longer period of time. So thank you so much for your time. As June said, I am from Cannes, and I just wanted to share some of the things that we're doing in the upcoming days and also, well, actually months now. And I also wanted to share about things that you could do related to this topic. I did leave the Homes for Health email from our advocacy team because they do some work around healthier homes. So I thought it might be useful. It is a little bit Manchester based, but you never know. It might, as I said, might be useful. I wanted to share the Health Hour next week is here as always. We don't fail one Saturday, 50 Saturdays around the year. Just trying to share my screen better. 2 seconds. I think it froze a little bit. It also happens to me. So wonderful. Now it's good. And we have it on the 19th of July. We'll be on dental health. And we know how expensive dentists are, how difficult they are to access these days. And it's great to be able to hear from a dentist, Black dentist, that will be sharing his or her time with us. So I look forward. We have a call for evidence still ongoing. We are getting great number of responses, which is making this piece of work more and more robust and more representative of the diversity of lived experience that we have in our community with fibroids. I don't know if many of you know, but Black women may, by the age of 50, 80% of them might be experiencing fibroids and a number of other reproductive health issues. So Khan, as the secretary for the all-party parliamentary group on Black health, is advocating for change. And to change things, we need data. And to have data, we need you to give us that data. So please, QR code on the screen. I'm sure every single woman that is on the call, and particularly the ones that live with fibroids, have already scanned the QR code and will be sharing their experiences. We do need that data. Thank you so much. Black History Month is not too far away, and Cannes is very big on Black History Month. It's like the Cannes Christmas, and we start the month with the Greater Manchester Black History Month Civic Lounge. We are very proud to be doing this for a number of years now, in behalf and supported by the Greater Manchester Combined Authority. It will be a beautiful celebration with dignitaries from all 10 boroughs from Greater Manchester. And obviously our community will be there of all generations. There will be fashion show, music, performances in the beautiful Manchester Cathedral. So do join us on the 25th of September. And to close, almost close, of like in the middle of the month, we have the Black History Month Gala. That is the Cannes Gala, where we reflect on the year that Cannes had the past year. We would really love to have you in the room in Manchester. It will be a remarkable night on the 11th of October. So do scan the QR code to find your tickets. Cannes wants to be with you, have your support. This year has been a very difficult year, I could say, from people working in healthcare or working on the voluntary sector. You know, the number of government changes that have existed that affect us all, besides all the political things that exist in the world. So he has affected the health sector. So to have you in the room in Black History Gala celebrating one more year of Cannes would be really important to us. So we look forward to seeing you there in the 11th of October. Today, we have the Black Health Care Awards, as you heard today from Dr. Folake and Nurse June. It's a very special night for us. It is sold out. We are proud to say we're sold out. We will accommodate everyone that has tickets, and we look forward to seeing you tonight in the Park Plaza, 12th of July. We're really excited to see you there. In terms of services, we have the beautiful and thriving Green and Art service that we have every Wednesday in Bolton and every Tuesday in Stockport, a service that is completely free and is changing lives. It's really improving people's lives. It's creating a community. Our colleague Lola would love to welcome you there. There is a phone number on the screen as well as the email. Join us. You don't need to be an artist. You don't need to ever have touched a pencil. It's for you. This community is for you. So do join this free service. And last but not least, one way to join Cannes. Yes, come to our events. Yes, join our online sessions. Yes, join Health Hour, but it's also to volunteer. And you can see that we're looking for volunteers still, people that have an interest in health literacy, in Black health, and particularly people that are midwives, nurses, that want to give some of that time. You'll be part of a community. June is one of the leaders of this group. So I don't need to say more. Is a great group to be part of, and it's a great way to give back and to contribute for the well-being and the improvement of the well-being of our community. So contact is on the screen as well as QR code. I just want to thank you all for being with us this Saturday morning, and I hope to see you next week.
Welcome to our Caribbean and African Targeted Health Improvement Program, CAFIP Health Hour. The Caribbean and African Health Network, CARN, along with its national partners, are incredibly pleased to continue to bring to you targeted health and well-being education delivered by Caribbean and African doctors. These health hours are all about empowering, educating, and giving space to Black people so our communities can look after themselves better. Every Saturday, our Black GPs or consultants present on those health and well-being topics that affect you, your family members, and friends. Some weeks will vary and will include other panel members such as pharmacists, specialist nurses, and faith leaders. Our health hours cover a range of topics and include mental health, heart health, women's health, reproductive and sexual health issues, men's health, respiratory problems, cancer, sickle cell, and many more. We have not forgotten to include within our health hours the many societal, cultural, religious, and racial challenges that can go hand in hand with health problems and influence how we should respond to meet health and well-being needs. The sessions are designed for you, and we want you to use the time to listen, learn, share your experiences, and ask questions to our Black doctors. During every session, we will gather your feedback so we can continue to respond to the needs of our Black community. To request any particular topic, please email health@carn.org.uk. We encourage you to invite others to our health hour sessions. Spread the word in our community.